I'm Adrian, and my persuasive speech today will be about whether or not you should go to online classes or in person classes. Obviously, that's not much of a choice right now because of COVID, but like if we pretend just for a second that it never existed and it's just a normal semester and you're just chilling, hanging out with your friends, and you're talking about whether or not you should go online. That's the kind of conversation we're gonna have. We're gonna pretend Corvid never existed, right? I'm not even gonna use it as a point to why you should go online because that's basically not even an argument. It's just a fact. But let's pretend that it doesn't exist. Right. Okay. So, first off, starting from the beginning, commuting. Like, there's a reason why it's called community college because like you have to commute most of the time, and the majority of us have to commute from like a far distance. Allentown, for example, I saw that the majority of us live in Allentown. I live in Allentown too. I think that's just a weird coincidence, but yeah, we all just happen to be in Allentown, and that's about a 30-minute drive from here to main campus. So, like, just putting that into perspective, that's an hour a day, and you go to class what, 4 or 5 days a week? That's 5 hours of your life. 5 hours when you can spend that just working, just alone. Just if you would have worked instead of gone and commuted, like, we're not even talking about the time spent in class, we're just only specifically talking about commuting. Just that alone, that's 5 hours. Now let's say after taxes you earn $10, just for example, that's $50 you could have been making every single week. But you're not, because you're in a car seat, right? You're in a car seat and you're just spending all that time driving. And I'm just saying that because I'm just saying 30 minutes because the majority of us live in Allentown. Some of us may live closer, and it may make more sense to go to LTC if you live closer. Right. Speaking of being in a car, you understand that, like, being in a car for that amount of time is gonna affect it. Like, it's gonna not only just gas. Like, we're not even gonna. I guess I'll brush over gas. Yeah, you have to pay like a bit more a bit more in gasoline every week, I suppose. It's negligible, but the thing that really matters is mileage, like on your poor car. Like, just mileage alone, you're gonna have to fix it, right? Like, exponentially, like 3 to 4 times. It's gonna deteriorate 3 to 4 times more faster. Just like if you happen to work, say, 10 minutes away from your job, well, now you're gonna do the equivalent of 6 times that because it's an hour every day. So if you go to work and your job is like 10 minutes away, doing the math, I guess it's a 20-minute drive every day. So really, you're just wasting 3 times as much by going to school while you're working, right? Okay, so you're gonna have to fix the car. Speaking of fixing things, right? Yourself, you're gonna have to do that as well because sitting down that amount of time is very, very, very bad for your health, right? So I actually have a few sources that indicate that. One's from a lady named Nuns Ashley. She says it in her study, The Price Isn't Right. Uh, Autonomous Vehicles, Public Health, and Social Justice. She actually states, right, that public transit infrastructure yields limited benefits, right? And it's a lot better to be in public transit because you're at lower risk of getting into a car crash, right? But however, it takes a lot more time than being in a regular vehicle. So even in the best case scenario, even if you're just in a car that you're not even driving, where there's a less of a chance of getting seriously injured, right? You're still wasting even more time. And yeah, you won't have to pay gas. It's just like $1 or $2 for us, but still, that's a lot of time wasted. I used to commute. This isn't a source, this is just me talking about my past experience. I used to commute in a bus to LTRC, and it would easily take 2 hours. Believe it or not, 2 hours. Sometimes it could take an hour and a half if it aligned just right to where I got off one stop and got onto another, it would be an hour and a half. That was so much time wasted, just so much. Just sitting there. like moving. When you could be at home actually doing the work and then you're done before you even get there, right? Right. That's okay. So that's all just speaking about commuting, just alone, just getting to school. Like and automatically most of my friends just lose me there and they're like, "Oh, but you know, I live nearby, so it doesn't even matter." And fair point. Okay, yeah, if you live nearby, you got that. Commuting is not that big of an issue. But you know what is big of an issue? Being in the class for like 3 hours a day, every day. That's insane. You're spending all that time learning when you could be spending that time doing the work as you learn. You understand? Like that's what homework's for. You learn while you do the work. So why are you sitting there just learning instead of being active, you know? A source actually talks about this. A source talking about Hanley Mary is her name. She's a professor at Duran University, and she wrote a source. Not a source. What? She wrote article talking about that, and in it, she actually states that paying attention is the critical first step to learning, and you cannot hold your attention span for 3 hours a day. That's not even a fact. It's not even a source. At this point, I'm just talking like because this is just a fact. You can't hold your attention span uninterrupted for 3 hours a day, every day, and expect all that knowledge to come in. That's just a fact, a knowledge of life. Everybody knows that. That doesn't need to be sourced. But what she was talking about was that you need to hold that attention in order to learn. So instead of spending 3 hours a day just sitting there not being physically active, why don't you do it online where you can do physically active work and actually learn, you know? And then I guess the final source that I have speaking about it, if I could find it, if I can find it. Right, okay, so this is actually getting into my argument of how online is better than in person because this person just outright talks about it. Their name is, if I can pronounce it, sorry, I don't speak Arabic, Tratnik Alsnika. I am so sorry if any of you are Arabic and you probably are just pronouncing it correct in your head, but I am not Arabic. So they are a professor from the University of Mantibor, and they state in their study that student satisfaction with an online and face-to-face business course is a higher education context. Oh, well, I read the wrong source. Okay, what they were trying to say is the learner is now an active participant in the learning process, a constructor of knowledge rather than a passive recipient. What he's trying to say is online, you are not passive, you are active, you are physically into the material, something that you just don't get when you're sitting in a classroom trying to learn. Right. Okay. That's I'm going to summarize everything I talked about. Basically, commuting costs too much. Even if you live nearby, the time it takes to just sit there and absorb the knowledge could have been spent being active and getting your work done. And finally, learning is just better when you're active and not passive. So, sorry about making the speech really long. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And, if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about the sources I covered, just comment right below. Thanks for watching.